There was, because the Indian civil service was part of the British Raj. So we had officers all over the country, and in a newly independent country, they helped manage the transition. So the combination of history and circumstances made this a premier, very visible service, right? It is a pan-Indian service. So we have the Indian Administrative Service all over India, and it is part of a number of other services. We have the Indian Foreign Service, we have the Indian Economic Service, we have the Indian Police Service, but the chief among them is the Indian Administrative Service. It is a generalist service. We are not specialists. We are trained to be generalists. And when she gave the introduction, she told you that I worked in rural development and education and labor. And so this is what we do, that we are put into a sector. It's a multi-sectoral. So we are put in a position of leadership in some sector. We sit in the chair, we adapt quickly, we learn from the job, and then we carry over that expertise to another sector when we move there. So this has been largely the way the IAS works. So it is a generalist service. It is multi-sectoral. So by the time you complete 35 years, you've gained expertise in a number of different fields. Right? Yeah, it's a kind of jack of all trades. But it also, because of the responsibility and the leadership which is placed on you, you need to know enough to be able to take sound decisions. It's also a very visible service. So IAS is the most obvious, other than the politician, in the bureaucracy, the most obvious presence of government, especially in the remote corners, is through the IAS. So this is something about the IAS. How do you enter? Let's put the next one. How do you enter the IAS? You write a civil service exam. I suppose that must be common across. And then through a process of ranking, you are allotted to different parts of the country and you work there. So it is something which has a lot of power, invested with a lot of authority, lot of experience and expertise done on the job. It's a very practical. I talked to you about the worm's eye view, and that is the kind of experience which you gain. Implementation experience actually on the field, right? But still, looking around you, you see large areas where this power pack tool is not working properly. So you see that I spoke to you about the Clean India campaign, but you see garbage everywhere. It's a failure of the administration, right? I spoke to you about the migrant crisis. We had a very tough time coping with the migrant crisis. Again, our migrant crisis is something different from the migrant crisis of Europe. This is an internal crisis of migrant workers, migrant labor. We had a very difficult time. So it is not always that this power pact, so-called power pact tool delivers. And why is that so? One is the multiple expectations which are placed. So we answer to many masters because we are such a visible service. We answer to many masters. We have to take into account many stakeholders before we take any kind of decision. Then let me give you an example. You will be shortly visiting Infosys. Infosys was founded by Mr. Narayana Murthy with others. Now he is, I think he retired from his emeritus, you see, or
Emeritus, I think he still holds.
still holds. So Mr. Narayana Murthy is also known as a philanthropist, and he decided that he wants to give a very large endowment of several crores of rupees to an institute called National Institute of Engineering,